Hey, nerfherders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
And we are in a different setup, lounging outside in Ben's backyard.
This is the best.
Don't forget, you can go to our website, certainpov.com, and check out all of our other podcasts are there. Not only do you have the Certain Point of View podcast, which we've just gone through a bit of a change, which we'll tell you about in just a minute, but you can also check out Another Pass with Case Aiken. You can check out the Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff as they go into video games. We also have the Scruffy Nerfherders, a Star Wars D20 story, our Star Wars D20 episode that is just irreverent and fun and just full of shenanigans and just
irreverent is maybe the best description for it.
irreverent shenanigans.
Yes,
that would function as another name for the
irreverent
show.
Shenanigans, a Star Wars story.
I like that. But yeah, you can experience all of those podcasts on our website. You just got to go to certainpov.com. And again, certainpov.com. We have just changed our podcast. This is the first episode of sort of what we originally intended to do with this podcast, and that was make this just a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah.
We were just finding a little too much to watch and keep up with every little bit of TV. It was funny, though. I was browsing through Facebook just a little bit earlier, and I go through and, I just hit save link, just, as a reflex for, things that I'm like, okay, that's nerd news, that might be interesting. And, I'll go through and, usually narrow that down when we did our news shows to, the ones that I think are actually interesting or ones that we can actually talk about, even if they, are interesting. And I just still find myself with that reflex of, save.
It's totally not needed at this point.
Exactly.
Unless it's Star Wars related, which
that will be needed. So.
That will be needed, and we will keep you up to date on. I think we'll still keep you up to date on some of the really big things that are going on. It's not like we're abandoning all of our nerddom.
Right, but we won't do it in a news format. But as they come out, we'll add it to other episodes that we're doing.
Right.
In fact, before we get into the solo A Star Wars Story review, just want to let you know. Actually, this is more rumor territory, but apparently. Billy Dee Williams has been seeing a trainer 3 days a week and undergone a new diet, which was similar to a program that Carrie Fisher was doing before she started training up for Force Awakens. So, does this mean that we're going to see Billy Dee in Episode 9?
I think having Billy Dee Williams come in at this point in time makes a lot of sense for this story. Again, you lost Leia, who was clearly they were setting up to have the third installment be. You've already lost Han. You've already lost Luke. It would be nice to have somebody from the original trilogy there to kind of help pass that off. So, if they can find a role and make a role for Billy Dee Williams,
I'm down.
I'm totally down.
Yeah.
They're making him a bigger character with this solo movie. We're getting a lot more of him.
Right.
And now we're getting, theoretically, another Lando movie as a spin-off of that. So his importance in the rebellion could be expounded upon.
Yeah, we saw him make appearances in Star Wars Rebels as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been he's especially in the expanded universe, he's played a bigger and bigger role. So he's one of those characters. I mean, he's got he may not have any more than 30 minutes of screen time in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But he's a character that there's plenty of room to grow that character.
People certainly like him. I mean, I remember as a kid really liking that character. And you're right, he doesn't have a ton of screen time. Yeah. There's not a lot to him, but it does feel he did feel like a bigger deal than he really was.
Yeah.
So let's get to the review for Star Wars, for Solo: A Star Wars Story. This is the first anthology movie that's focused on a single character. We obviously had Rogue One as our first anthology movie. This is our second. But then this one obviously is a little bit more troubled in production. I have to say, we're going to do the spoiler-free version of this review first, and then we'll give you the full-on details, nerd out about every little thing that happened. But sort of my short version of this, I went in with, incredibly low expectations. I was definitely excited going in within the last 2 weeks especially. But I will say that because of how troubled this production was, it wasn't quite as low as Justice League, but it was pretty close to it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, my expectations weren't that low. I had actually pretty high expectations for this movie. but not like Last Jedi, The Force Awakens expectations.
Yes. Yeah.
They were somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
Of like, I was like, this to me the production troubles didn't bother me as much as this wasn't really a story that I was all that excited to see.
Which I felt that way, especially
Yeah.
for the longest time, ever since this was announced.
Right. So there was a lot of me like going like I mean, okay, like I'll go see it because I'm excited to see Star Wars and I love Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And I like Han and it'll be kind of cool to see their backstory and how they've changed it and turn it into something. Let's see where it goes. But I wasn't thrilled to go see this movie. Like, I mean, the other problem that I had with this movie is it's the end of May, and we've already had so many blockbusters right before it, where I was a little blockbustered out.
Yeah, Infinity War and Deadpool 2 were huge, so this kind of fell into the shadows a little bit.
It did.
That being said, I really did enjoy this movie. It was a fun movie. Not necessarily a whole lot of depth, not a whole lot to mine yet. Like, I haven't really thought of anything, like, thematically interesting for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, it was a crazy fun ride. I had the goofiest smile from beginning to end in this movie.
Well,
Yeah.
except for when you poured your drink all over yourself.
Then I was actually swearing quite a bit.
We all heard. We all heard.
I feel like I owe a play-by-play explanation of what happened. But
Dude, so let's talk about that for a little bit.
we got the collector's
got the
cup.
collector's edition popcorn holder,
Tin, yeah.
and then you got like this gigantic thing of soda with a stormtrooper helmet on.
Yeah, which was really cool.
It was
looking.
amazing. And what's great about it is that neither one of us had talked about it in line ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, we both got one, and we got the exact opposite
Yes.
stormtroopers because they had a gray one and a white one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy with the one I got. I got the
love
short
the
trooper
white one.
design.
Yeah, I love the white one.
Yeah,
I love the regular
so,
trooper.
Yeah, I was happy with that because I like the short troopers from Rogue One.
Uh-huh,
So
yeah.
I was pretty excited about that I got that design. But man, I should have drunk all my soda right at the beginning of the movie because that was a huge mistake. Because I was like, the cup was just wet with the condensation. And I was trying to slip it back. I had it with a two-hand grip. And then I moved it to one hand, and I started feeling the slip, and I was like, oh, no! And I may have shouted something else that was a little bit more expletive.
But my son is here.
Yes, exactly. And so the cup falls, and I grab the head of the cup, and that's when I was like, oh, no. Or obviously
That's when the panic really set in.
Yeah, and then it just popped out. It spilled over me and my buddy David Adams, and all over the floor.
I mean, it's funny because I was sitting down from you like 3 seats away from you because there was a whole bunch of us that all went together.
Yeah.
And I hear this clunk, and it's just like as it just poured out onto the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I knew exactly what had happened. I just started laughing.
You did?
And J. Mike was like, "Was that Addy?" And I was like, "Yep."
He thought I threw up, apparently.
He was like, "What is going on?" Oh yeah, everybody was dying. We were all loving it. The whole theater loved that.
Back to the movie, obviously. You know what? There were a couple moments that I felt maybe were over-explained that were definitely fan servicey. Some of them were a little cringy. Some of them I was totally okay with. I kind of expected that in a movie like this.
Yeah, I don't see how you make a movie like Solo and don't do fan service.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of this movie is to
It's
do fan service.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, otherwise you would tell a different story.
It feels like this is a movie that the Last Jedi haters really
Should love.
wanted.
Yeah, should love, yeah.
Should love. We'll find out, because obviously they'll probably find a way to dislike it and feel their identity is threatened by it. And but we'll see.
And then
how
somehow
that
the
goes.
social justice warriors have overtaken Star Wars,
Right?
and all that other bullshit.
Yeah. Or if you're in the other perspective that corporate Disney is completely overtaking it,
Right.
because corporate Lucas was obviously a benevolent creator.
Yes,
but-
it was only in it to tell the story, not for the
Exactly.
money, and to sell you toys.
Right, exactly. And there are legit quality issues with this movie too. So that from a legitimate perspective, I can see some people not liking this movie too.
Yeah.
So we'll see how everyone kind of falls with this movie. But this movie is having some issues at the box office. Mainly, I think
I think the problem is that it's the third blockbuster in 1 month.
Exactly.
And a huge blockbuster of Deadpool 2 just came out a week before.
Yeah, I hope this encourages Lucasfilm to move back to December releases. I like the idea of Christmas at Star Wars time. It makes Christmas even more special for me.
And that's all that matters.
Right. I mean, there's Jesus and all that, but, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
That's the star I want my shepherds to follow.
That's the real coming, the second coming that I want.
All right, so let's get into the full-on spoiler version of this episode. If you just wanted to listen to that, this is the time to tune out. I think later on we might just develop a spoiler wall piece of audio to drop here.
Oh yeah,
that might be interesting. The spoiler barricade. So
of which fools may not pass.
Right. Maybe we could have someone sing a song for us. Maybe we could get Pete to do that.
Oh, that's a good
idea.
idea.
A little serenade like the spoiler. This is the part where the spoilers end type of
That's
song.
a good idea.
That might be fun. But anyway, our spoilers, it is no longer spoiler-free at this point. So we're going to go full-on into this movie, dissect it up, and cut it up, talk about every little bit. All right, so what were your favorite moments of this movie? Let's start there.
My favorite moments in this movie are obviously Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
Chewie
was
amazing.
The star of this movie, if you ask me.
Yeah, it should have been called Chewie,
yeah.
A solo story. And that's been true for me since I first laid eyes on Chewie.
He was your first favorite character.
I love Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So him and Hans, how they come together in that, on I forget what planet they're on.
You know what? I actually don't remember what planet it is.
I know that it's referenced. Then that battle is referenced in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That they're talking about the trooper.
Wait, in Clone Wars or in Rebels?
Maybe it is Rebels.
Yeah, it would have to. It probably.
I don't remember. It's in one of the Filoni series.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about how the Empire is slugging it out in the mud on this planet.
Yeah.
And this is the battle that they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that Chewbacca is for whatever reason on this planet, which is weird, never really explained because it's not Kashyyyk.
Right. Which I understand that he wasn't on Kashyyyk, but I think old EU was the spice mines of Kessel.
Right.
Was where he was freed from.
Right. And here he's just a prisoner of war in a pit that they feed deserters to.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of cool. And I liked how they played that. It was cool, seeing his reveal. And so you knew it was Chewbacca,
but it was exciting
as soon as they said it. But as soon as they said it, my eyes lit up like a 5-year-old kid,
right.
And I was just like, yes, it's Chewbacca.
We got to see Chewie pull someone's arms off.
Yep. Yeah, I think Chewbacca was really great. That scene really, really worked for me. The Falcon was all the stuff with the Falcon.
Yeah.
L3 was cool.
Yeah.
Lando was amazing.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about Kira and her story.
I actually really liked her. It was very predictable.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But she was incredibly likable, and what they wrote for her path, I do find interesting.
If it goes anywhere.
Yes, if they have further movies to develop her character.
Because it doesn't really do much in this movie.
Because at this point, they pointed big neon signs to her character turning on Han, or half turning on Han, but sort of using Han to sort of rise in power within the Crimson Dawn organization.
Right.
So
and I liked the Crimson Dawn. I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
I thought
Paul Bettany's
Voss was really cool.
Yeah.
Was very cool.
Yeah. He was sort of the typical he wasn't I didn't think he was anything crazy special, but he was a good solid villain for
He's what I want. He's exactly what I want for that type of role.
Yeah.
I thought Woody Harrelson was great.
Yeah. He was likable. I was surprised at how quickly Jon Favreau's character, the character that he voices, Rio Durant, their first pilot, and Tandy Newton, how quickly they
were dispatched.
Died. Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah,
it totally worked. But I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of them. But again, that's what the story was. So I don't have any too many
the problem
complaints.
is if you go. Excuse me. If you do too much, again, this is a an hour and a half blockbuster film. That's always been my complaint about this type of story and this type of storytelling is I do want a lot more out of this.
Yeah.
Which is why I love the Marvel model of
Yes.
and how expansive and how detailed you can get with your characters because you're not going to be with them for just one movie.
Right.
So you can take the time to expand on okay, let's just handle this caper.
Yeah.
Like, just this caper. Let's really get to know everybody. And then in the second film, we'll kill them.
Right.
Or But instead, there was like, all right, well, the first act, let's handle this caper and kill them. And end the caper and then their characters there. And maybe there wasn't a need to do more with them. I guess really there wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was kind of surprising a little bit. I expected a little bit more out of those characters. But I guess really ultimately you didn't really need it. There's nothing about this movie that I don't like. Really. At the end of the day, I can't point to anything and go, "Oh god, like that was awful." There was one, I take that back. There's one moment. There's one moment, and that's when he's standing in line to get off the planet,
Corellia.
off the Corellia, and they're like, "Well, what is your name?" And he's like, "Han." And they're like, "Well, you have a family name?" He's like, "I don't really have any family."
And the officer just waits for a moment. Solo. And it was just like, yeah, that's one. I came to terms with it pretty quick.
Yeah,
but
I let it go.
Knowing our buddy Sean's like 3 strikes rule, he may hate this movie very quickly.
Right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Yeah. That was bad. But I love the Bosk reference.
Yeah, Aura Singh reference.
The Aura Singh reference. I really want to see how that plays out in a comic book.
Right, yeah.
Is
yeah,
where
that's
I really want to
perfect
see that
for
place
a
for that.
comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bosk, Aura Singh. Yeah, I went nuts for the Bosk reference.
I looked down the aisle. I was like, there he is. We got Bosk.
That just means that he needs to show up. We need him to show up. I love how lived in this world feels. Like, I know it's not as much of a complaint now since we have not Marvel Disney, Star Wars Disney, where we do have, like, the last 3 movies have felt lived in.
Yeah.
But that's still something, like, appreciating where we've come from the prequels and, some of the design, while there are some really cool design elements in the prequels, sometimes they felt like sets.
Yeah.
Which is why everyone has like been pushing for going practical, because in their heads it's always been about practical, whereas there was a lot of practical actually in the prequels. It's just I think some of the design just may not have been what we wanted.
Right.
So,
it felt too good.
Right. So that was something I really liked. I loved seeing the Star Wars Underworld. Previously that was something that's only been limited really to Tatooine. And particularly Jabba. We get a little bit on Coruscant in Attack of the Clones, but that's really kind of it for the Star Wars Underworld as far as it's concerned on the big screen.
Right.
So it was cool. Like I like Corellia. I thought that was a really cool planet. I liked all the locations. I thought they were very interesting, different places. It wasn't the typical, and here's your sand planet, and here's your ice planet. Even your ice planet felt very different from Hoth. Even the desert planet, like when they go from the spice mines of Kessel to the place where they have to get the fuel refined, like that desert planet felt different with the spikes or whatever it was. Like all like there was a lot of really cool design elements. In terms of the what's the name of the bad guys, the pirates.
Good guys. Oh yeah, I forget what their names are.
Yeah.
We are an awful Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, something Fess. It's gonna come to me at some point.
Yeah, Dave and Fess.
Yeah,
something like
whatever. But yeah, they've got such a great design. Like,
they look
so
cool as hell. They look really cool.
Yeah, but I also like the style of our smugglers and guys in the underworld. Looks amazing. And I'm not just talking about Lando. Like Han and Kira, Paul Bettany's character, Tobias Beckett, all of those characters, like they look great. Like I kind of want to get Han's jacket. Like Think Geek like keeps on popping up in my Facebook feed. I'm like, I can't do it. I got Lando's cape for J Mike, but I can't. You know what? I'll make it an incentive for myself if I lose enough weight.
Yeah. So you don't look like a giant leather turd.
Yeah, because I look more like Jabba than Han.
It did look great. Everything looked great. Except for, I will say this, like just to nitpick
the darkness.
It was so dark. I felt like I was watching a DCU movie.
Yeah.
A good bit of it.
Yeah, especially early. Corellia especially. I felt there was an intentional design for
Yeah,
that
let's
Corellia.
talk about that, because like when you see Corellia in like Star Wars The Old Republic,
yeah,
like it's this beautiful, well manicured, blue and green, lush planet that's just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we see Corellia under full control of the Empire,
Oh, yeah.
it is like just the darkest, dingiest, dirtiest, ugly planet you've ever seen. And I think that's really a really cool story, like for fans to pick up on and see.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, well, look what the Empire has done to this planet.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there's more to that planet that is like that. That still has some of that natural beauty, but I think particularly we were seeing the slums of this planet, and the docks and the industrial, areas of this planet. But again, it does feel like the effects of the Empire being there, because you do. Even though,
because even when they're at like trying to get off of the planet, like where the Empire is, and everybody's kind of like being herded through, even that is like super dark.
Oh yeah, exactly. And seeing like the potential for families, you see families being separated.
Ripped apart, yeah.
Like seeing that's one thing I really appreciate about this movie, is seeing the effects of the Empire on everyone at large. Yeah, because like Tatooine, like they have a presence, but and they. They're clearly the bad guys, but you never really feel like they're doing too much other than killing,
they have a checkpoint. They have a checkpoint, and they're looking for droids. Like other than that, you don't really see them.
For a good portion of the Star Wars movies, we're often in like the Outer Rim, frontier planets. Yeah. So seeing a planet that's heavily populated like this, and to see it under Imperial rule, does make a difference. I think the only other movie, I will say Rogue One does a good job of that as well. But this one was also very interesting.
This takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
This took it to a new level. And it was good. I actually liked it, but they could have lightened up the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
Having that dichotomy of like how glorious that planet is, and like a jewel of the old Republic, having it then like crushed under the weight of the Empire is great. I did enjoy that. I just needed to be able to see it a little bit better.
Yeah,
is all, because like there was a couple scenes where like you see movement on screen, but you can't really tell what's happening. And maybe that was just like a way to hide effects and stuff like that with some of the different monsters that they had going on screen to make it look a little bit better. That's an easy trick to do, but again, that's really nitpicking. Like, that's really nitpicking for this movie.
I really liked how they handled the open of this versus Rogue One. So Rogue One, we had just sort of the sudden, like, jump going in from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. We had that, like, quick music hit, and then, we were in the story. It was Krennic landing on that planet. But here we didn't get an opening crawl, but we did get opening text that would have been accomplished in a crawl, but without the crawl and sort of everything that kind of like does tonally for the saga movies, that sort of serialized action sort of, adventure tone
sets everything up.
But this set up the tone just right. So I really I hope that's something they do moving in the future.
Yeah.
Instead of the Rogue One model of just going like cold, into the movie from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I like the idea of like this version, like still establishing the like everything you need to for this story with something of a like not exactly crawl, but with just enough text so it still felt like a Star Wars movie.
Right.
Yeah,
but you're like, okay, this is a little bit different.
Totally different
than what I'm going to get. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was nice. Let's talk about something. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk about something I want to talk to you a little bit about, because you and I had probably our biggest fight ever about this topic, which was the change in directors.
Yes.
Now that you've seen the movie, how do you feel about the change of directors? How do you see it as like, oh, now that I've seen what they wanted to make? Like, that's how I look at it. I'll just put it out there. I'll put my cards on the table. I look at it and I go, oh, seeing what they wanted to make, and that this is ultimately the movie they wanted to make, absolutely the right choice to change the directors.
To Ron Howard.
Yeah,
I'd agree with you on that. Like,
I can totally understand their frustration. And I love those directors. I think they make fantastic movies.
But they weren't
ready
for this.
I can see where like them like improvising lines and trying to like, all right, let's find something for like, this is not a funny movie.
No, not at all. Like I'm surprised that Lucasfilm went to them to begin with for this movie, to be honest. You know, when they talked about, like, one of the movies that I've heard, I think Kathleen Kennedy said, or some, I don't remember who said it, but Big Lebowski was supposed to be the big influence on this movie. You know, if it went a little bit more comedic, I could see that sure, like, it still doesn't sound like they're the right guys.
Yeah, I don't, no.
So I do think this movie is a little bit of an issue of them figuring out what they're trying to do tonally.
Yeah.
And Ron Howard was the right guy for it. A little bit more dramatic, a little bit more action, adventure. I think this was the right tone for this movie, and Ron Howard was the right guy for it. I wonder, and I can never remember Larry Kasdan's son's name.
John.
Maybe. I think so. But he said that this movie, it's very, like, you can see the influence from all the different people who were a part of this. Because, you know, Kasdan and his son were actually a part of this back before.
Early.
Yeah, before Lucas sold Lucasfilm. Like, he actually asked them to do this. This isn't Disney. This wasn't Disney pushing this movie. Right. This is actually, like, Lucas already had this in the works, which is kind of funny. And the reason this was supposed to actually be the first spin-off movie to come out. What's interesting, though, is because the Kasdans ended up working on Force Awakens, they put this on hold. Which also sort of an interesting detail, and it ended up coming to be a bigger plot item in The Last Jedi. But that's why, like, they put Han's dice in there as sort of like something to kind of like be like to bookend Han's life a little bit, and his influence. So I thought that was a really interesting
nice
memento,
touch,
and that was something that I actually found like an interesting sort of part of the plot, and sort of representative of who he was and what he was, you know, what was motivating him.
Yeah.
I really liked Han's drive. And, you know, we never talked about this because this is one of the other big issues was whether or not Alden Ehrenreich would be able to do.
Was going to be a decent actor, yeah.
I never for a moment doubted that he was Han in this movie. So it's funny because I was pretty skeptical of him early on. But the moment this movie started, I didn't have he was Han. I didn't have any problem with it at all.
I didn't either. I never once thought about it in the movie.
Yeah.
Not once in the movie where I was like, man, they picked the wrong guy, or he's really working hard to do a Harrison Ford impression.
Right. And it never felt like that. It felt like a character in a different place than where we saw him in A New Hope, but a character on the way to that place.
Mm-hmm.
And which is exactly what that story is. You know, so that totally worked for me. You know, obviously Donald Glover totally owned.
Now there was a guy who was doing an impression, but he owned that impression.
He did. Yeah, I think he took it in, but I think he also took it.
He added to it. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he took what Billy Dee Williams' performance had given him, and then took that and embraced it and made it his own.
Exactly,
which is what great actors do.
Yeah.
And that character was really well played, and they gave him a really good, interesting story, and made him super likable.
Yeah, he was also in it a lot less than I expected. He's still
really?
a major part of the story, but I was surprised, like, once he disappeared, you know, from the story.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. Okay, well, this is Han's story, so that makes sense. This isn't the Han and Lando movie,
right?
You know,
it's not a buddy cop. This isn't lethal weapon in space.
Exactly. But yeah, that totally worked for me. I know. I'm on board for a Lando movie. I know you're sort of indifferent to it.
I'm indifferent to it in the same way that I was indifferent to the Han movie. I will watch it, and I'll be happy to watch it, and I'll be thankful that there's another Star Wars movie. My only problem is that it doesn't really, a movie like this doesn't really expound the universe and expand the universe in any way. We didn't really get anything new. We got a lot of things we wanted, and we had a lot of things that that like we kind of knew.
So here's the thing. I agree most part with you because this is a movie that's very heavy on style and light on substance. But that style is really good.
The style is fantastic, yeah. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I do feel there is something to the exploration of the criminal underworld of the Star Wars universe. And that is something we've gotten in the extended universe.
Right.
But that isn't something we have a whole lot of in the movies.
Right.
So I do find that as something that does add onto the lore
sure, because we have already been a part of, like, we're such rabid fans, like we watch, we may not read the books, but we for sure.
But we're starting to.
We're starting to. We're a little bit better at keeping up with the comics, although that's still a work in progress. But like we've kept up with all the Filoni shows, and
right.
if there's a single TV show out there, like we're gonna be on top of
for sure.
the TV shows the moment those come out. So. And I think those will get a little bit more into that world. So this ends on, like, Kira's character isn't quite complete. There's enough, like, this movie can exist on its own. They don't necessarily need to make more movies, but there is room for more, especially when you consider the big cameo that comes in at the end, the Darth Maul cameo,
right?
Which I was super excited about, and I called even before they turned on the hologram.
Yeah,
I was like. Because I was I was excited about some of the
references.
So Bosk and Aura Singh were big references. One that I got really excited about, honestly, was the Pikes on Kessel.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw a live action Pike, because we had only seen the Pikes in the Clone Wars series, and
right.
as part of Maul's Criminal Empire, and I was like, my mind immediately started going to Maul's Criminal Empire, and they started talking a little about Dryden Voss as someone else to answer to, and I was like, I wonder who that can be. And when Kira started like drawing the blinds, I was like, holy shit, Maul is still alive.
Yeah.
I leaned over to David, I was like, it's Maul. And I was so happy I called it before they showed it.
That's so cool.
Which speaks to to some extent the predictability and the fan service of this movie. I'll give it that it's
right.
This movie won't surprise you, but it's such a fun ride. But I was so happy to see Criminal Underworld, boss Darth Maul, and my hope. Here's my hope. I doubt it's going to play out this way. I fully expect them to do another Solo movie, well, depending on how this does financially, obviously.
We'll get to that point.
Yeah. But my hope has criminal, like, Scum and Villainy trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about Alden Ehrenreich having 3 contracts,
mm-hmm.
3-movie contract for this. They've already said that they want to do a Lando movie. We also recently heard that James Mangold, who directed Logan and 3:10 to Yuma, he will be directing a Boba Fett movie. And I would love if those 2 movies are just part of sort of like a loose trilogy for the Scum and Villainy of the Star Wars universe leading into, like, pre-Rebellion era. I think that would be such a cool place to paint these stories in. So make the next movie a Lando movie with Alden Ehrenreich, as Han and Chewie,
having the same kind of role that Lando had
did
in this movie, where they make an appearance but they're not the stars of the show.
Right, and then a Boba Fett centric, but like bounty hunter all the way. Like, bring me Bosk, bring me Dengar, bring me 4LOM,
IG-88.
Zuckuss, IG-88, full crew. That's like, I want disintegrations left and right. Like maybe they're the ones that destroy Maul's empire. So by the time we see it in Rebels, he's the guy who's on Malachor,
mm-hmm.
that they find, like, they've taken everything away from him. The Hutts have retaken this empire. So like it doesn't have to be explicitly this war, but sort of like in sort of like weaved into the story of smugglers and bounty hunters and all. Like, you could have it really close out with the bounty hunters helping do take out sort of the last bits of Maul's empire.
It's left over after Sidious kind of destroys it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That would be good. That's the best. Honestly, that's the best solution that you could come up with for this solution, because like I said, like you got to take it somewhere. Like this by itself, like Solo by itself. When we were talking to David Adams today, I thought he made an excellent point. It was like, if this was your first experience of Star Wars, you'd go, meh, all right. I don't know what all the fuss is.
Yeah, that's true. Totally. Although, you know what I'll say? This is where I'm just such a fanboy.
I told this to David as well. I was totally lost in every moment. Like when they're getting sucked into the black hole.
Yeah.
Like I know Han survives it, but I was still like totally on the edge of my seat when they were getting sucked back, and I was like, "Oh my god, how are they going to survive this?" Like I know they're going to survive, but I still am like worried for my character's welfare.
It was a well-made, well-told story. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But just scratches the surface of everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Like it really doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't really add to anything. And so that's my concern. Like your idea of like, okay, let's delve deeper in this, and this is like the jumping off point to get into the scum and villainy story and make it a trilogy or even farther, who knows? Like you could have some spin-off TV, and we've certainly had tons of books and comic books that are filling in holes in the Star Wars universe. That's great. Like that's ideal. I would almost though rather like get away from the people that we know, get away from the timeline that we know. Like my problem with this movie is kind of what you just expressed, and is the same problem I had with Rogue One of like, I know how this ends.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I know this story. Like I mean I'm getting more details than I never had before for this story.
Right.
But I know that Han and Chewie become best friends and fly the Falcon. Like,
yeah. Like we know Chewie's still going to be alive, even if he's about to hit some rocks.
Yeah.
We know Han was going to pull him back to safety.
Yeah. And are they going to get through the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs? Yes, of course they are. Like, there's no surprise here. Is Han going to win the game of Sabacc against Lando and get the Millennium Falcon?
So let me ask you this: did you think that game was going to be the first game, the one that he lost, though?
No. Well, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was surprised by that. Because it was such a paint by numbers story that when they were like, oh, suckers.
Yeah, and Lando won.
Yeah.
So for me, I did think that's something I did appreciate.
Yeah,
that they pulled the rug
nice.
out from under you on that one. But then like they had the I was a little disappointed with the little tacked on scene at the end. They were like, and here's
here's how he gets it.
Yeah.
They could have waited, like knowing that we're getting a Lando movie. I would have been fine if they made him wait a movie to get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that like if like Lando needed something and Han was like, if they just reversed it, where Han was playing a game of Sabacc and Lando came there,
right,
and then Han cheated him out of it. Like
Absolutely.
that would have made me happier, to be honest with you.
But I think this is also a movie where they're not sure if they're going to continue this or not, depending on how this movie performs.
Right.
So
well, I don't think they went into that thinking that. Yeah. But I think like now that they've seen the box office, they're kind of thinking like, okay.
Well, you don't think with some of the production drama there was still some hesitancy?
No. I mean, I think they looked
at
the
Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think they looked at the production drama and went, well, we didn't get this one right, but it's our plan still is to roll out as many of these movies as fast as we can.
See, what I think is that they may have been gearing up to start doing 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with them sticking with one. At least for now, until they really start
knocking them all out of the park.
Well, not knocking them. I'm. You know what? Here's the thing. I expect a dud here and there, mediocre movies. I expect a Thor 2 to happen every now and then.
Right.
I think that's just the nature of putting out movies like this. Some movies are just. Things are going to happen.
Land.
Yeah, they're not going to land. That's fine. I've been saying this from the beginning with Star Wars, Disney. There's going to be some duds along the way. Here's my thought, though. They, like you said, they have to make some movies that are genuinely different. And this is where the Marvel formula, the Marvel universe building has helped, is that Ant-Man is a legit heist movie.
Right.
That, a heist superhero movie.
Right.
Like
a heist movie with superheroes in it.
Right. that Doctor Strange feels very different from Spider-Man Homecoming, as it should. And the Iron Man movies are different. And, Thor Ragnarok is different from everything.
Right.
Guardians, all of that. So once they start really... And this is where I am a little encouraged by Solo, is that this does legitimately feel different from any other Star Wars movie I've seen. One of the knocks on Rogue One was it's a war movie, but it's not really embracing being a war movie.
Right.
It's still trying to be a saga movie at the same time.
Yeah.
And that sort
because it has to end with that saga moment.
Yeah, but it could still be a war movie, I think.
Yeah,
but
but
with that moment.
like they're still they're still stuck in that. Like, again,
Yeah.
I think as soon as they start to veer away from the saga,
Well, let me
we'll
point this
do a
out
lot
here.
better.
So, like the one battle scene where that Han is in and where he meets Beckett and his crew.
Yeah.
Like that battle scene was like that's the kind of thing that needed to be in Rogue One.
Yeah.
As much as I love Rogue One for what it does thematically and the perspective that it takes in terms of like how it paints the Rebel Alliance and how loosely built that alliance is, it still needed more of some war elements, and it didn't it had moments of that.
Yeah. This is really
Jeddah. It had some of that.
Kinda. Jeddah just feels like an occupation. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a galaxy at war.
Right.
It feels like an occupation,
Right.
and like the war's already been fought, and they lost, and they've been there for a while.
Right.
It
The Battle of
feels-
Scarif felt a little bit different, but the Battle of Scarif in the air was cool. Battle of Scarif on the ground was not great, in my opinion. If you
Had
ask me.
moments.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you have such a small force.
Yeah.
There, like you don't have any real scope
Right.
to really feel like things are really, really happening.
Right.
In a major way.
Yeah.
Like in Clone Wars, like we see like these massive armies
Right.
clashing against each other, and that I'd love to see. And we get that in the prequels a little bit too.
Yeah, but not done well.
Not done as well as we would
Yeah,
like.
there are a couple moments here and there in Revenge of the Sith actually
Yeah.
that are okay on some of those battles. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I think you're right. We haven't really seen with the Empire. We haven't really seen them in full-on invasion mode, war mode. Really fighting to take control of planets.
Yeah.
And stuff
Other
like
than
that.
this movie, we got
Right.
a glimpse.
This is
of
the
it.
first time we've kind of seen it.
Yeah, which
And even then,
I
it
did
was
like
pretty brief.
It was brief, but it was still appreciated. I think.
Yeah.
So So overall I like this movie. I think it's worth going to see.
I mean,
In the theater.
to be honest with you, like
Yeah.
if it's coming down to money,
Yeah. Okay.
and
yeah.
and you're like, okay, I haven't seen Infinity War, I haven't seen Deadpool, I haven't seen Solo. I can see 2 out of 3 of these movies.
If it's coming down to money, you need to get Movie Pass
Yeah, there is that.
because you can see 4 movies a month on it.
And more, and I think they went back to the unlimited thing again.
Did they go back to it?
I think they went back to
Oh, that's
unlimited
nice of
again.
them.
Yeah.
But even if it's just 4, you
Let's
got
say it's money and it's also time.
Yes.
And I don't have the time, and I can only see 2 out of 3 of these movies. I gotta say, see Infinity War and Deadpool over this movie.
I'd agree with you on that. Yeah, I can come to terms with that. Yeah.
That being said, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I really like this movie.
So wait till July to see it, or June. Sorry.
Go see it the next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth going to see for sure. It's hard because we are in a situation of a glut of riches. Like we have so many things to choose from. This one doesn't feel quite as important as the other things, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it pans out in the box office. I don't think it's going to do great. It certainly seems to be underperforming at this point.
It's off to a very slow start. It's only made about 1/3 of its production budget.
Okay.
So
Which isn't good.
yeah, but we'll see.
I think this is a
it's
movie
got
that
some runtime.
I think this movie is going to do okay in the end, and I think it's going to make up a lot in DVD sales and streaming.
Yeah, I think. As far as big blockbuster movies, it doesn't have a ton of opposition in its run moving forward.
Right. Yeah, there's not much after this.
Yeah, until we middle of June. I believe we get Incredibles. So that's
which is
the
only
big,
2 weeks away.
So I guess it is short of a run than we.
It's got 3 weeks on. But it's still up again. Like Deadpool just came out a week ago.
Yeah.
People still are going to see Deadpool for
That's
the
true.
first time.
But when it comes to the family sales, family sales aren't going to happen with Deadpool.
There's some bad parents out there, man.
That is absolutely true. I've already heard about some who took their kids to Deadpool.
I can't believe that people are like, oh yeah, my kid's seen Deadpool. I'm like, your kid has seen Deadpool. You're not mature enough to see Deadpool.
Right?
What are you talking about? Yeah. And people are still going to see Infinity War.
Yeah, I just went to see it again this past weekend.
Right.
That's my third time.
I was at a party yesterday, and I was talking to somebody, and they were like, yeah, I'm going to see Deadpool this week. Like, I haven't seen it yet. And you go see Solo, and they're like, if I can get to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot. I mean, Incredibles 2 I'm pretty excited about. We're getting Ant-Man and the Wasp not too far from now either.
Right.
Ocean's 8 actually looks pretty awesome, too.
It actually does.
Yeah. And I still got to see A Quiet Place.
Yes, that's another movie I got to get to. That's a movie I actually do want to see in the theaters.
Yeah.
Like, if I miss Incredibles 2 in the theaters, I'm not going to cry.
Yeah.
I really like that movie, and I'm excited to see this movie.
I'm gonna see it in the theater.
It doesn't feel like a movie I have to see in the theaters.
That's fair, yeah.
And honestly, Solo kind of felt that way, too. I don't
there's
think nothing in that there's nothing in that movie where you're like,
yeah, because I'm disappointed I did not get to see Avengers in IMAX. I did see it in 3D, which normally I'm not a fan of, and it happened by accident. Actually, there's a lot of really cool shots.
Yeah.
There's some that I don't like because here's the thing: 3D. When it comes to when you cut from a shot to shot and your focus is in two different areas, that's always the thing that's rough for me. Or if you have an object enter the space and change focus, that can be really disorienting for me. So that's what I always have an issue with in 3D. So there were a couple moments like that. There's a moment with Spider-Man swinging into frame that just really messed with me. But there was so many cool the opening.
Yeah.
When you go through the deck of the Asgardian ship, and you see all the dead Asgardians and Heimdall, and they kind of pan up, and you see Thor's body on the ground and Thanos standing next to him, and he's looking out of the port of the ship, and you see sort of the other ship and the lights going through the window and the lens flare, that looks incredible in 3D. So there is some amazing stuff, with a bunch of the effects with Thanos doing fiddling with reality when he's at nowhere, all sorts of stuff. There's some really awesome shots in 3D. It is there is some great attention to detail in the 3D cut that I will say, and I hate 3D. Yeah, I hate 3D so much. But there's been a couple examples that there was a shot in the really crappy Green Lantern movie, the only Green Lantern movie, obviously. But I always have to preference it with
for now.
It's probably going to be the only Green Lantern movie
in our lifetime.
See, I also tried to enjoy Infinity War. At least all of the Iron Man parts is the best Green Lantern I'm gonna see. So there's a lot of cool stuff with all of that. In 3D, but it is worth it. I am disappointed I did not go see it in the actual IMAX theater.
Yeah.
And it's already out of IMAX now because, again, of Deadpool 2 and Solo. But I have no interest in seeing Solo in IMAX because there isn't anything that's really done, special in IMAX in that movie as opposed to Infinity War being shot entirely in IMAX. So that's the first feature film ever done that way. So I'm a little bummed that I didn't get the time to do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do a re-release by the time that the next the follow-up comes out.
So moving forward with Star Wars movies. So they obviously this wasn't a great weekend for them to open Solo with.
Yes.
Do you think they'll go back to the drawing board and go, okay, can we still own May? Star Wars used to be a May event movie. Obviously, Marvel and everybody else has seen their success there and said, "Oh, we can have blockbusters open in spring. Right. It's not a big deal."
Well, I mean, we Deadpool, the first one was in February. Valentine's Day is
there is no blockbuster season anymore.
Yeah.
It's just blockbuster movies.
Yeah, Wonder Woman opened in March. We've had plenty of Marvel movies open in April at this point.
Logan was an early release, if I remember, or late.
Yeah, that was
release.
a February release.
February, yeah.
That was a February release. So was Black Panther.
Right.
Which is still in theaters.
Rightfully so.
Totally deserves it. And it's already on home release, and it's still in
theaters. It's amazing.
That is insane. That is truly insane and amazing all at once. The first Guardians movie was in August, which is always considered a dead period. Yeah. But the thing is, word of mouth is powerful enough that there is no time that is a bad time
anymore. Yeah. People will go see a great blockbuster movie anytime now.
Exactly. So
going forward, what do they do?
Go back to December, man. Own that, because summer. I still think there is something to the summer movie season and the December movie season, because of people being a little bit more available and with family and friends and stuff like that. Because of the family experience of it,
Right.
I think Deadpool, like, and some of these movies do lend themselves to, like, people are going to get together no matter what. But some of the blockbuster experiences that are a little bit more of a family experience,
Right.
I think do lend themselves to the summer and the December movie season.
Yeah.
And I think Lord of the Rings was part of that. Harry Potter was a big part of that. A Pixar movie is going to take advantage of those slots in ways that other movies can't. And I think Star Wars is very much a family experience as well.
Yeah.
Sure, a Star Wars movie is going to make money no matter when, but yeah, just go to December, man. Like,
I
you
agree.
can own it.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, they've done well in December before.
Yeah.
I think it works.
They've
I
done
think
well
it
in
works.
December with 3 movies.
And
Like,
frankly,
each of those movies have made over $1 billion.
Let's talk, and that's just the movies. And let's talk about the other major part of any Star Wars franchise: merchandising.
Oh my God, yeah, it's
Put it
perfectly
around,
timing for Christmas.
Put it for Christmas. I mean, you're selling just a shit ton of toys that way.
Yeah,
Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Put all your marketing budget into that. Sell a bunch of toys. Sell a bunch of tickets. Everybody's going to be hyped for it. More than any other blockbuster movie, because of the merchandising, they should own December.
absolutely. So, but yeah, I think that sums up our thoughts on Solo. Fun movie. Don't need to run out to see it, but you won't have a bad time if you go see it. So, hey, like I said at the beginning of the review, I had a big old goofy smile on my face from beginning to end.
I did. I enjoyed this
You know?
movie front to end, and I had a great time. It's thoroughly forgettable, but you'll enjoy it while
Yeah.
it's happening.
Exactly. So don't forget, you can go to our website, check out all of the other podcasts. You can reach out to us on social media. All of our social media is available on our website. Just go to certainpov.com, and until next time, stay scruffy, my nerfherders.